Welcome back to Synergy Bonus. Got another stage select for you tonight, since we enjoyed doing the first one so much. This time we're jumping all the way back to May of 1990 and the original Final Fantasy game for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
We may have talked about this before.
A little bit.
You may have heard of this game.
Yeah, I'd only...
Not a chance. It's so rare.
I might have had a couple sequels.
It had one or two, and then something happened and it went off the rails. But anyhow, we're heading all the way down past Elfland into the Marsh Cave.
Okay.
That reaction there should give you everything you need to know here.
So I was confused the Marsh Cave and the Earth Cave.
No.
The Earth Cave is less of a pain in my fighter.
To give you an idea of what's going on here, you've just arrived at Elfland. You've been informed that the Elf Prince, who has the mystic key that you need to progress through the game and unlock all of the locked treasure chests and all that, has been put under a cursed sleep spell. And because you're the heroes in this, and you know, sandboxy stuff allowing you to just pickpocket the key off the elf was 20 years yet to come down the road. You have to
go for a dungeon crawl.
It's time to go on a crazy epic fetch quest, which turns into like 3 fetch quests. So you got to get the herb from the witch who lives way up north that you may have encountered on your way to Porta, because we're really original with names. And she can't find the herb because somebody stole her magic crystal, which allows her to see, otherwise she's blind. Or at least very nearsighted. I'm not very clear on that.
Blind.
Okay. And that we were informed was stolen by the dark elf Astos. We don't know where he is. I vaguely recall somebody saying that he fled to Northwest Castle, but when you get there, if you go there, unlike Thricht,
I didn't even notice the castle. You're like, hey, there's a cave on the way in the direction I'm supposed to go. I need to go here.
You get up there, and there's a king, the lonely king, sitting on his throne in the Northwest Castle with nothing else around, and he tells you that he needs his crown before he'll tell you where Astos is, which is lost in the Marsh Cave, back down south on the peninsula in the swampland. And it's this abysmal, dark, dank dungeon of pillars and green mossy stone.
You've got them reversed. The Northwest Keep is technically north and west of Elfland, but the Marsh Cave is way to the north.
It's way to the south. It's on the...
That's the reason I never went to the keep.
Way to the north is the Dwarf Cave.
I always found the cave before I could find the keep.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because you have to actually go past the cave to get to the keep. And you're down on this marshy peninsula that kind of looks like South America. And you get in there, and if you're like me, you're getting in there at level 5, and the recommended level is 16.
I'm going in there at level 8 or 10.
I am a pro at being underleveled in old RPGs. I have rectified that since, but let's just put it this way. I've mentioned this before. There is a Dex Drive save with Grandia 1 at the final, last couple boss fights, way underleveled. If you find it, you beat it and tell me, because I couldn't.
And the Marsh Cave is kind of notorious from old RPG players. It's really the first challenge that faces you in Final Fantasy. You probably steamrolled through everything to get to this point.
Takes a step. Boss fight.
Yeah. There's nothing to tell you that this place is going to be a challenge. There's nothing to tell you that this place is going to be full of monsters that paralyze and poison you. Unless you were one of those fortunate kids who had the Final Fantasy official strategy guide back in the day, which notoriously said, bring 99 heal potions.
Because you're going to need to save your magic.
Yep.
And if you're affording 99 heal potions, you're going to be higher than level 5.
Yep.
Much higher than level 5.
And you're going to be dragging your ass down 3 levels. One of the levels is going to be traversed twice if you want to get both the north and the south staircase to get all of the loot. And then you're going to be searching all of these rooms on the bottom level, only to encounter a boss fight of a bunch of now Pisco demons, at the time just wizards.
Because we can't use mind flares. Screw you, TSR.
Pisco Larkins and mind flayers and Pisco demons.
Mm-hmm. And then you got to drag your ass back out after the boss fight after you've recovered the crown.
Wait, is this... No.
Unless you have whatever the escape spell is, or
Again, I think I'm confusing one of the dungeons, but like, there's a boss fight on the tile, because I know how the tiles work because I've worked with RPG Maker.
Take a step, fight.
Take a step, fight.
There's a hallway where
there is a treasure chest, but before the treasure chest, you have to do a boss fight. When you kill it,
anywhere from 2 to 4. Yep.
You get the chest, and if you step backwards and step forward again, you can do the boss fight.
Triggers the boss fight again. Yep, it's a bug. It's a bit of bad programming. Yes.
But that's this cave.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you have to go back through that hallway where it's not actually every step like Thrick says. They're alternating diagonal from each other like a checkers board. So every other step is a boss fight.
I'm just thinking
or not a boss fight.
It's a random battle.
However, the enemies in that, depending on which enemy you got, it might as well be. If you got the Gigases.
Gigases didn't appear in the original NES version. The remake they did. But, the original NES, there were some poisonous snakes. You got to see a lot of creeps again. There were some mild undead. But yeah, just all around bad times because
there's also that section going towards the one chest where it literally was. There was no way around it. It was fight.
Yep. You're just mowing your way through endless hordes of enemies like Goblin Slayer with a Rage Boner.
And the thing with Final Fantasy 1, like, a normal fight still took some time.
Yeah, this was
like, you had to plan it out.
This was a dungeon that was going to eat probably an hour and a half to 2 hours of your time. With luck.
Even on, remakes and stuff, it's still...
Because you can't save in a dungeon.
It's still frustrating.
It's a notorious dungeon.
And that's why we're talking about it. Because of its notoriety. It's very memorable. It's got a catchy musical theme, which I'm sure Spoony will grace us with here any second.
I keep thinking the Earth Cave or
Earth Cave and the Volcano is what you keep humming, but I figured that this, it's rough. The music is kind of memorable. The track in the original one is actually just titled Dungeon. That's the volcano.
Yep, that's a gold volcano.
It's also the Earth Cave.
Because, limitations of technology.
Yeah. But,
I confuse a lot in this game, except for the underwater temple and the sky temple.
I mean, to be fair, it's 30 years old, so when's the last time you picked it up and played it?
Actually,
I have an updated copy for the PS1.
Probably about 3 years ago on the PSP.
Okay.
Because they have the prettied up graphics. Better than the PS1.
Yeah.
It's actually way better than the PS1.
Yeah.
But it's, like, I don't know. It got more love than the Final Fantasy VI update did.
That's a different...
Same with Final Fantasy IV.
That's a different conversation.
But it's
more
fun.
love than Final Fantasy II deserved.
It's enjoyable. But this stage it hits you like a freight train. It really does. Like...
I knew a lot of players where they got that far and they decided, nope, we're done. Final Fantasy is not for us. Fuck RPGs. We're going to go back to Mario. Yeah.
To be fair, I was in that camp. Yeah, to be fair, I was in that camp.
This is also the first stage in the game. There was an interesting mechanic that was present in the original Final Fantasy.
Okay, go ahead.
Where if a dungeon contained certain items, but they weren't like an important keyed item like the Mystic Key or the Crown or the Float Stone or whatever, they'd be in the dungeon, but there was an algorithm that randomly rotated what box they were in until it was found, and then the remaining boxes that it could have been in would have something else that could bring them. And this is the first dungeon that employs that. So on subsequent playthroughs, the copper bracelet might have been in that chest in the northwest corner, but on this next playthrough, that's just going to be a handful of gold, or it's going to be a tent, or this time it's a silver bracelet, or no antidotes. That would have been very useful, because it's nothing but poisonous werewolves to get there, and nothing but poisonous werewolves back.
And paralysis.
A lot of that.
But if you should manage to beat this cave, you should feel proud, because it's probably one of the biggest hurdles in this game. Everything else feels not as challenging. I mean, there are challenges, but like, you are so unprepared for this at the time.
Yeah, and
it's a low-level dungeon. Yep. But like, low level, like Travis level 5, I was probably around the same level. The game guide recommends you level 16. I mean, come on.
I'm level 10 going in just because I tend to go and farm stuff to buy the best gear.
I think it's a learning experience in that you get your ass kicked so hard so often in Marsh Cave that you take the time to grind before you do any of the other ones. And you get so used to the idea of, okay, I've got this poison that's doing damage to me every time I take a step. That comes into play and teaching you how to manage that when you get to the volcano and you're wading through lava. You know, and so it is teaching you. It's a lot of tough love.
Normally, we'd hold your hand and walk you through this part. No, we're just going to
slap you. No, we wouldn't. It's 1990 and we want your quarters.
Could you imagine Final Fantasy on an arcade cabinet? That is just an abysmal thought.
I mean, if there was some sort of like a
save feature where you could type in your telephone number like Gauntlet.
Maybe, or even something like...
you have to go and enter the code.
Back in the day, like before we got to the N64 PlayStation era, I was like, would it be great if arcade cabinets came with like a little chip or a save card you could put in there and it would remember your game?
Some did, eventually, but...
Not so much in North America, but yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, though, like... When you say eat your quarters, and I think of like a console game like a Final Fantasy or something, on an arcade cabinet, it just makes me shudder.
Or it's just Gauntlet on an arcade cabinet, especially some of the 3D ones in the later years. Like, what was it? We showed up at the mall where they had it down in Lakewood once. When they opened the doors, put in the quarters, and played through, and we were about halfway through the game by the time the mall closed for the night.
Wow!
You physically couldn't beat it.
Hey, I got kicked out of the mall for playing Gauntlet because, I don't know, they were still showing me. But we are so off topic here. But Marsh Cave. It's a beast of a stage. Like, it's not my favorite.
I didn't say it was a favorite. We said it was memorable.
It was memorable, but it's not my favorite. I'm going to just get that out there right now. I think the look on Thrick's face is just...
Pretty much sums it up, yeah.
It's mean.
It's brutal.
Still better than Final Fantasy II.
Hit me so I can have defense.
And health!
Anyways. That. Good night, good gaming. And actually, if there's a specific level that you want us to talk about, we've probably never tried it, and if we have, that's great. Let us know so we can try, and then we'd love to talk about it, why you think it's a great level or memorable. But that, again, like I said, good night, good gaming.
Hey, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed what you saw.
Let us know. Give us a like and a comment down below.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to make sure you get all notifications from us.
And as always,
good night
and good gaming.